So here I'm going to show you how to work some pelvic tilts to understand your posterior and anterior pelvic tilt to help you build up to a glute bridge. So you're going to come down onto your mat. You want to lie back nice and carefully, and as you roll down, make sure your shoulders are down on the floor, nice and relaxed. And I just want you to just tuck your tailbone under so you feel your lower back pushes down into the mat. You want to have your feet relatively close to your glutes to make sure with this exercise, to work your posterior chain dominating through your glutes, you need to have your heels close to your hips. And if you want to dominate through the hamstrings, you would take your heels further away. But first up, we're going to work on the pelvic tilts. So we're going to settle our lower back into the mat. We're going to just pull in your umbilical or your belly button into your spine. I want you to give your glutes a nice squeeze, nice and tight, as though you're stopping yourself from urinating. And take your hands down to the side so you can keep your shoulders relaxed and down away from your ears. So what we're going to do here first of all is we're going to just try and press the lower back into the mat as hard as you can. So we're just tilting the hips backwards, so pushing them down to the mat. And then we're going to reverse it. So we're going to push the front of the hips down towards the front of your toes. So this will enable you to lift your lower back off the floor. It stretches and lengthens your abdomen. So you can imagine when you're standing up, when you're constantly standing in this arch position, you're putting lots of pressure into that lumbar spine, but the front of the body is weak and long. This tends to be a cause of this lower back curvature. Weak at the front, tight muscles at the back. So now let's tilt the hips back, pressing that lower back into the floor. Squeeze your glutes nice and tight. Squeeze and grip your pelvic floor as though you're stopping yourself from going for a pee. And then you're going to just tilt your hips forward. So we just pointing the front of the hips towards your toes. And tilt them back. So the tailbone tucks right under, squeezing into those glutes. And tilt it forward, front of the hips to the toes. I would suggest keeping on doing that just so that you mind map that sensation. So one more time forward, then we're going to settle it back to that pelvic tilt, back into the mat. So glutes are squeezing, almost wanting to lift off the floor. Belly button pulls in tight, shoulders down. You're going to press the hips all the way up. Keep that belly button tucked in. You don't want to be pushing the belly up to the ceiling. Pull it away from the ceiling. And then roll down through your vertebrae, one bone at a time, all the way to the bottom. Keep squeezing the glutes. Just before those glutes touch the floor, I want it to come back up for this nice hip press. Belly buttons pulled in nice and tight. Roll through the vertebrae to come down. Just as the glutes are touching, you're pushing all the way back up. So that's your bum. Your glutes is your bottom. All the way down. And then when you finish, you settle back down, and then you just find a way to come back out of it comfortably.